Kristen Lago.
And I'm Jody Storm Sullivan, and welcome to our third episode, our debate night special episode of the He Said, She Said podcast.
Yes, we're back, and sorry it's late night, but it was debate night, as Jody said, so we are watching that, but we're still here. We're ready to talk sports, and remember that you can listen to us every Wednesday night, or pretty much every Wednesday night. We're going to try to keep that consistent. You can listen to us on SoundCloud or watch us on YouTube, and now we have something special. You can actually subscribe to us on iTunes, so be sure to check us out there.
You can podcast app, search us He Said, She Said podcast, and we're the cute little pink and green logo there.
Yes, we
also,
are.
a fun fact, if you don't like to stay up as late as us, on a Wednesday night, you can listen to us Thursday morning on your commute to work or while you're eating breakfast, all of that fun stuff.
That's a great idea. I would listen to us in the morning.
I would. I mean, I think we're entertaining.
So we're going to start off pretty much the same as we always do. We have a segment that we like to call the fast pitch. So me and Jody, we look up kind of what we see as a fun story that we've seen in the sports world, something that we don't tell each other beforehand. We're going to kind of pitch it to each other. We're actually going to time each other this time. So we're going to keep it on time this time. So I think, Jody, you have the timer. I'm going to get started first.
All right, I'll give you a countdown.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm going to start off with this. Who dat? Who am I talking about? The New Orleans Saints. So I don't know if everybody saw this, but I am enamored by young children who love sports. I think Jody feels the same, / half of the United States and the world feels the same. So this story will resonate with you guys. So it was a young Saints fan. He's on the sidelines. He's actually 14. An incredible story. He suffers from a very rare liver disease, which has kind of shortened his height. He looks very young, but he's standing on the sidelines at the New Orleans Saints Carolina Panthers game. A Carolina Panthers player comes before kickoff, starts dancing in the end zone, and he literally shouts at them and goes, "You can't dance here. You can only dance in your end zone. Oh no, you can't do that. Dance in your end zone, but don't dance in mine." And it looks like his intimidation tactic worked because the Saints end up beating the Panthers 41-38. You could take it as he's the, special key to that, or the Saints offensive attack and the field goal kick at the end. But I loved it. You got to take a look. Super funny.
Nice job. Got that fast pitch right under a minute.
Bam.
I'm proud. All right, let's see if I can do the same and deal out a little bit of heat of my own.
60 seconds. Here we go. I'm ready.
All right, so I'm sure that you've heard that the NFL is placing restrictions and even fining teams for sharing live streaming video, sharing GIFs, sharing highlight clips of their games over the weekend. And this restriction, coming down from a memo from the NFL, is from all of kickoff, so from kickoff to 60 minutes after the game, which is hard. Social media is so prominent, and the NFL is arguing that it's affecting viewer ratings and all of that, but who really knows? But shout out to the Browns and the Eagles this past weekend.
Yep.
They made GIFs of different plays to show their highlights. So the Eagles shared an interception GIF, and the Browns shared a touchdown GIF. So what I thought was really funny is it's one of those like electric football tabletop games with impeccable detail of the team. So obviously this took a lot of planning to kind of get some jabs in at the higher ups and supervisors that they have at the NFL. And I saw these on Twitter, was just absolutely laughing. I mean, hey, it's technically not a highlight of the game, but it gets the point across.
I think, and you're right on time too, but
perfect.
I think we'll discuss a little bit. I think your topic is a little bit more thought-provoking just because social media has changed the game. And I know a lot of times I was listening to CNBC this morning actually, and they were talking about viewership of the NFL and the MLB just because both sports really prominent at this stage right now and their loss of viewership on TV. But I think that's just the way kind of viewing sports is going. Social media is becoming the way people get caught up in sports. I mean, like you and I, we just don't have time to keep up with all the sports that we do on live TV. So we're watching on Twitter, we're watching online, we're looking at Facebook, everything like that. So I think the restrictions are a little iffy. I appreciate the highlights that I see on social media. I don't know about you.
I like it. I think it kind of keeps me in the loop. Obviously, I'm not going to watch all, 16 games in an NFL weekend. I mean, that's only counting the NFL, disregarding every other sport that's happening at the same time. So I really like the social media highlights to kind of keep me involved. I'll retweet, I'll reply, I'll share stuff of my own that I'm kind of seeing in part of the discussion, but I'm never going to stop watching live TV, whether it's I'm streaming through apps on my phone, whether it's like the ESPN Watch app, Fox Sports Go, all that kind of stuff, or if I'm watching online or on television. I mean, I'm never going to not watch live sports. That's what I think is the beauty of sports. And is that it comes live and it's a product that you can't fabricate. Yeah, you can tell the narratives and construct the stories around it, but you're never gonna be able to replace that magic that comes with live TV, especially watching the sports live.
I definitely agree with that. But what I think we're gonna start seeing just now, because I think a lot of people share that sentiment. I know I do, but there's also some people who just don't have the time to give to, a 3-hour or 2-hour broadcast of a live sporting event. So I think we're going to try to see leagues like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB trying to monetize on social media. And once they're able to do that, I think that's when we see these restrictions go away. But because they can't yet monetize that viewership is why we're seeing these restrictions. So I think until then, we're going to see kind of these walkarounds that these teams are doing, because they do have huge social media networks and, account executives that are working on this. And I'm excited to see kind of the creative stuff that they put out, just like you were saying. Yep. You enjoy it, I enjoy it. I'm ready to see what they kind of push towards us.
I think one of these days you're going to have some executive or someone working at one of these TV companies that's going to be able to put together a plan that somehow perfectly captures watching live sports and getting social media in reaction. And whoever comes up with that, I'd love to be that person, but whoever comes up with that is just going to make so much money.
I'm excited to see kind of how they intertwine the two worlds of TV and social. So we'll see. It's definitely a really cool topic to keep track of. But now that we heard those pitches, we're going to get started kind of moving along towards some big topics in sports. I don't know if you can see Jody's shirt, but she's wearing a Dodgers shirt. And I'd like to first point out that if you listened to us last week, I'd like to say that I called the Dodgers winning and coming into this playoff round. Let's hear, Jody, do you want to, console with me that I actually said that?
You beat me to the point. I was reluctant to. I was living in denial. But it's been nice to see the Dodgers kind of play well these last couple of games. They were able to take that 2-1 lead. Obviously tonight they lost it and is now tied 2-2 in the series. Not really sure what happened there. The Dodgers bats kind of just weren't there, and the Cubs over 100-win season, they definitely showed up today in Chavez Ravine.
Well, I think they knew that this was the game, if any, that they needed to kind of come back from. I was looking up stats before of teams that were down 2-1 kind of in World Series playoffs games to get to the World Series. Of the last 20 seasons, only 8 of those teams have been able to overcome that 2-1 or kind of the greater deficit coming from behind. So I really didn't think the Cubs were going to do it, especially at Dodger Stadium, especially with the momentum that the Dodgers have had. So I was shocked. I didn't get to watch the whole game, but I know it was a beatdown from the Cubs. So I don't know if you watched a little bit more than I did, but some key moments that you think where the Dodgers sort of fell apart. What did they come short of?
There were a couple times missed throws, kind of just miscues. Something for an offense that, a defense that as of late hasn't really given up any unearned runs. And then tonight you definitely saw some of that. Just weird plays, missed throws. Honestly, towards the end of it, the infield kind of looked like they were playing like a bunch of confused little leaguers. Like, It was a little embarrassing, and it was a little, we're down. The Dodgers are already down like 8-something. It's a little hard.
It's okay. We know you're a Dodgers fan.
Yeah. Anyways, so they were down and all that. I was just like, brush this off. Like, you're going to have the game Thursday night, and then you're going to have the next game in Chicago. And honestly, the best case scenario right here for the Dodgers, you're going to have Kenton Maeda come in tomorrow, come in on Thursday.
About that. Yep.
He should be good. Hopefully he can kind of rebound off of previous series kind of woes, get the win on Thursday, and then, heading up to Chicago, you're going to get Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw won Game 2 up in Chicago, 1-0. Only the second pitcher to ever keep the Cubs scoreless.
Wow.
Ever to beat the Cubs in a playoff game 1-0. Okay. Which the only other pitcher to do that, Babe Ruth. So,
some big shoes to fill.
Some big shoes there. So we'll see. I think if we get to the point, if Maeda can pitch the win tomorrow and the offense can kind of rebound and figure out whatever weird issues they had tonight, rebound for Thursday.
Are they at home or are they in Chicago tomorrow?
They're going to be in Dodgers Stadium on Thursday.
Back at home should play well to them. I don't know.
Hope.
You would think today, but coming off that, I think we don't know. But what it has been is an interesting series so far. And then on the other side, we had tonight.
So you had the Cleveland Indians go ahead and clinch over there up in Toronto. Yep. So I think interesting. I really don't think anyone's surprised. I'm not surprised.
I remember you called that. Yes, I'll give you that one. You did call that one.
I was at least right on one thing. But yeah, I thought the Indians were going to sweep. They ended up losing yesterday. Honestly, I wasn't shocked. The 3-0 victory. You had the 2 home runs, and then you had the first run in the inning to kind of just knock it off right there. I think the Indians are a good team. Yeah. I do think whoever comes out of the National League, whether that be the Cubs or the Dodgers, I think they're going to beat the Indians.
I agree with you on that front. Yep.
So we'll see. But it should be fun.
It's an unpredictable time.
We'll get there soon enough.
I know. It's an exciting time. So we'll have to check back in tomorrow, and we'll definitely be talking about that next week. Definitely. So as we get further along, we'll keep you up to date on that. But switching over, we're going to talk a little college football, as we always do. We never stray from that. Big fan of the college football teams. So I think what we discussed is college football this season has been, is it safe to say, unpredictable, kind of crazy?
Yeah, I would agree. Unpredictable would be a good call for that.
Yeah. So not even just, I mean, in the Pac-12 is what we're familiar with, just being here at USC, watching that team kind of go from the top to the bottom and back, maybe in the middle now.
Honestly, I'd put them at the top team in the South Division. Okay. Obviously, their rankings and their standings aren't going to match that right now. But I would put them as a solid number 3 in the Pac-12 and then in that top spot in the South. We'll see how they can go through the rest of the season. Obviously, if they are able to win out and Utah can pick up one more loss, then they're going to end up winning the South Division and moving to the Pac-12 championship game. I don't see them beating Washington, considering it's up at Washington. Maybe if it was here in the Coliseum, I think they'd be able to do it. But up in Washington, I really see that team just being really strong and kind of making a resurgence. I was talking with a couple people. They're going to end up winning the South Division and moving to the Pac-12 championship game. I don't see them beating Washington, considering it's up at Washington. Maybe if it was here in the Coliseum, I think they'd be able to do it. I really see, but up in Washington, that team just being really strong and kind of making a resurgence. Washington up at the top of the Pac-12 North. They're undefeated.
Jeez, I still can't believe that. And I think that's why so many college football analysts kind of underestimate the Pac-12, just because over the years it's been so unpredictable. If we look at the past 10 years, you really can't pick 2 teams that have been at the top consistently, because coming into this season, I think you and I both would have said Stanford would have easily clinched the Pac-12 North at least. The Pac-12 South is always a little bit of a toss-up, I would say. I mean, just the fact that UCLA is doing so poorly and the Arizona school is doing so pretty much so poorly. And you have Utah and Colorado is the real underdog there that I still don't understand really how they turned their program around. USC did beat them, but still a toss-up down in the South. But the North is really what gets me. I think having both Washington teams ranked 1 and 2, they've yet to play each other this season. So I think that's going to be the game to watch. That'll really be a lot excited of fun.
What is it, the Apple Bowl, Apple Cup up there?
I don't know what it's called. See, because I never pay attention to the Washington schools.
They're just like, oh, they're up in Washington.
Because I think a lot of people took them for granted. Like I said, that's why nobody really pays attention to the Pac-12 and they really kind of put them under. But I do think Washington is a huge contender this year. I'd like to see USC come out. Obviously, I'm a little bit, I think we're both a little biased, but I'd like to see USC. I think it's going to be a good game. Both teams, I think, have equally matched talent, great coaching staffs behind them. But I think it over there in Washington, they are away, USC. Yeah. It's going to be a really tough game, especially, I think, with the elements, too. If it rains on them up there, Washington is definitely going to have the advantage and the momentum of being undefeated and knowing that if they beat this USC team, really solidifying their kind of quest to the playoffs this year.
Definitely. They'll have the elements on their side. I have a good friend from middle school who's up at Washington. Actually, a couple good friends from high school and middle school. They're up at Washington, but I was talking to one of them recently and she's like, yeah, Washington's playing so well and I'm really excited. And she's like, I've become a college football fan. I was like, that makes me really happy that, the success of that program is creating more college football fans. So that's always fun to see. So honestly, I'm super jealous that she gets to be up there for that USC Washington game in a couple weeks.
I'm actually going. I just booked my flight. So I will give you some context on that. I'm excited. I've never been to Washington.
It's beautiful.
Seattle is beautiful. Other than
Seattle.
The rain, I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm excited. Bring out my USC poncho. I'm going to be a fan that day. I'm going to take off my podcast.
Get a little USC beanie going.
There we go. Yeah.
Keeping warm. Do you want to hear a fun story about Seattle? So just beyond off topic, but I think it's hysterical.
Please.
So when I was 3, my uncle used to live in Seattle. And the first time I got to go up there, I was 3. And the entire trip, I asked my parents, hey, when are we going to Seattle? And that's always what I would asking. I think you got it, that look on your face. But it wasn't until towards the end of the trip that my mother goes, oh, Seattle, like as in I wanted to see a person named Adel. I was very confused for a majority of that trip, but I do remember it. So, Seattle has a special place in my memory now just because of that.
I'll send you some pictures when I'm out there.
Perfect. I'll be excited.
I'm excited. I think that's going to be the game of the season for USC. Thought that was going to be the game at Alabama, but didn't work out that way. But that is interesting to bring in the topic of Alabama, the top 5 teams. Yeah. I think a lot of them predictable as in Alabama, but Washington definitely in the top number 5 spot.
They're 5
I think
right
they're
now.
really going to play, if they do go on to beat USC, which I think, and Washington State are going to be 2 of their bigger games coming up, and they get into that college playoff, I think it's really going to be interesting to finally see, a big contender from the South. We had Stanford last year, but they just broke down
this
season. I mean, Christian McCaffrey hasn't even been a real element on
I know.
their team.
I know he's been hurt. Something, I think, like a hamstring, maybe a quad injury he's been dealing with, which is unfortunate because he's a lot of fun to watch. Even when he's playing against USC, I can't help it kind of root for him a little bit just because he is such a talented athlete.
He's an incredibly dynamic player. And I think it's actually a little bit crazy to see how one player can affect a team so much. And I wonder, when looking at USC, I often compare watching Christian McCaffrey to watching Adoree Jackson, just in terms of their dynamic energy, kind of the element of fun that you see when you watch them play, and if that would affect us the same way. I mean, I'm knock on wood on that one, just because. But it's true. One player can really affect a team that much.
Definitely. I mean, you look at someone like Sam Darnold, who now, after this past week, after the win over Arizona, now has the nation's highest QB quarterback rating, which is so impressive.
Very impressive, especially for a freshman, and one that came in not mid-season, but definitely not a starter in the beginning. Yeah. So I've been very impressed with him thus far. I think you see a little bit of his quirks as a freshman, but he definitely recovers well. He has a lot of confidence and poise, and he's really confident in the pocket, which is something you don't see from a young quarterback. And running as well. He's dynamic. I'm excited to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, definitely. USC has the bye week, but kind of from there, we'll see. We have Cal next Thursday, so we'll see from there.
It'll be a fun weekday game. Those are always interesting. I think playing on a Thursday throws both teams off their game a little bit. It's a little less time. Luckily for USC, they have the bye week on their side, so they do have time to rest up. We have a couple injuries that I think need to rest up from there, so we'll come back and see. Yeah. I mean, we're going to preview that game next week, so stay tuned for that.
So, talking a lot about college football, I think I need a stretch. Just a good kind of breather, big kind of stretch. I think that could work out.
I agree. Let's stray away.
So, got that 7th inning stretch feeling going on?
I'm ready.
Perfect. All right, so for tonight, another fun segment that I really enjoy, 7th inning stretch.
Here we go.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull about. We already said it was the debate night special episode.
Debate night, late night.
Debate night, late night. I think that's my new favorite phrase is debate night, late night.
# debate night, late night. I'm ready.
All right, so we're just gonna, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're gonna get to see a little bit of what we're doing. If you're listening to us on audio, you'll also get to hear a little bit of what we're doing.
And hopefully you guys caught a little bit of the debate.
Hopefully.
So you're a little familiar with what we're gonna do. I know I was reporting and watching the whole thing, so this is something I'm gonna pride myself on knowing well. We'll see how well I do in this situation. I think Jody's gonna carry the team on this one.
All right, so October 19th, 2016, the stage is set at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You have two rivals here. You have Hillary Clinton, representative candidate of the Democratic Party, and then you have Donald Trump, candidate of the Republican Party. Let's see how they take the stage, or as I more like to say, take the field.
Take the field. Here we go.
So we have them here. They're walking up to approaching of Hillary Clinton and both Donald Trump waving to the crowd. Kristen, what do you see these first two step on the stage?
I think on everyone's mind, are they going to handshake? Are they going to? No, they're not going to handshake. No team effort
Secretary
there. They
Clinton,
do
Mr.
not
Trump,
want to show each other
welcome.
any
Let's get
condolences.
right
They
to
are
it.
on
The first
opposite
topic
sides of
is
these
the Supreme
podiums.
Court.
You see the moderator, Chris Wallace, here
You
trying
both
to
talked
moderate them,
briefly
playing the
about the court
referee
in the
role
last
here.
debate,
That's
but I
got to be
wanna
hard.
drill
No
down
yellow
to
flags
the
here?
next
No penalties,
president,
nothing.
though,
All he's got is his
almost certainly
microphone.
has
That's all he's got to go with.
His ability to
likely
kind of
possibly
snip them
2
and
or
get them
3
out, which I do
appointments,
think he'll
which
probably
means
do
that
a good job with this debate
will,
going.
in effect,
I think
determine
so,
the
too.
balance
Let's
of the
sit in
court
here.
for what could be the next quarter
Getting the
century.
first question out.
He lost the Iowa
Hillary
caucus.
Clinton.
He lost the Wisconsin primary.
Looking very
He said the
confident on
Republican
stage. A
primary
lot of
was
poise. You
rigged
can see the
against
practice
him.
that went into this.
Then
I'm a big
Trump
fan of the white
University
union
gets
kids
sued
this
for
year,
fraud,
or this debate. I
racketeering.
think it's good.
Probably
He claims the
Nike
court
sponsored.
system
Probably.
and the
Nike
federal
likes to
judge
sponsor
was rigged
everyone at this
against him.
point.
There was even a time when
All right, so
he
she's
didn't
pulling-
get
she's
an
pulling
Emmy
back
for his
out of her
TV
pocket.
program 3 years in a
Is she
row,
gonna
and he
ram
started
into Trump?
tweeting that
Is
the
she gonna
Emmys
ram
were
into
rigged
Trump?
against
Shoulda
him.
got
Oh my
it.
gosh,
There we
calling out the
go.
Emmys.
This is a
Woo, that's that like
mindset.
behind the
This
back
is-
trick
this is how
shot in for
Donald
those
thinks.
3 points.
And it's
She's
funny,
just coming
but
out of
it's
nowhere,
also
bringing
really
his
troubling.
pass.
Hitting the shot
We
below the
need
belt.
strong
Is Trump going to
borders.
take the bait?
We need
shall see.
absolute. We cannot give amnesty.
He looks pretty
Now,
calm so far.
I want to
We'll
build
see.
a wall.
Oh,
We
building
need
the wall. That's
The Border Patrol,
been a high point
ICE,
for him
they
this
all
whole
want the wall.
season. Kind of something
We
that his
stop the
team
drugs.
has been
We
building
shore
off
up the
of
border.
for some
One
momentum.
of my first acts will be to get all of the drug lords, all of
right,
the bad
pretty-
ones. We
pretty
have some
similar
bad,
rhetoric.
bad people in this
Here we
country
go,
that
here
have
we
to go
go.
out. We're going to get them
The
out. We're
sniff.
going to
Did you
secure
hear
the
that?
border. And once the border is secured, at a later
Energy
date, we'll
here.
make a
Let's see if we can
determination
keep the
as to the
momentum.
rest.
Can he
But
finish
we
out
have
strong?
some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them
Oh,
out.
swing and a miss there. Kristen, kind of interesting. He was going there. He had the momentum. Good kind of dribbling and all
of
that.
He was ready. He saw the shot coming, and he completely missed the ball on that one.
It was a little change up there. Not even from Hillary Clinton at this point. Just kind of a little weird mental mistake there.
I think
Just
he tripped himself up on this one, and the
Probably.
fans definitely saw it. I know in
They
the audience
did.
you heard, and if everything go dead silent, as everyone kind of pondered to themselves, like, did he really say that? Did he really
think
make
so.
that move? It comes to collection, and you saw on social media. I know
Yes,
that's what
I
I was
did.
monitoring the whole time. Bad hombres became a trending topic, and that was the moment of the game. I think the hot button
so.
topic. That's what he's going to be known for coming along.
That's the highlight reel that they're going to
There
be
you
playing.
go.
No NFL sanctions here. That little 5-second clip's just going to be shared all over social media and probably talked all about tomorrow on the morning news shows.
Oh, completely. That's the highlight they're going to show. But this whole debate was full of a lot of highlights for both candidates. And what they said, coming from the analysts, was that both sides, both teams performed really well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
good
We'll
that they had practice from the first two, so they were ready for this one. They have 20 days now till the
20
big
days.
game
That's
coming up.
That's a big time. Basically, their like World Series, their national championship. We're gonna see November 8th. Who
Playoffs
kind
coming
of comes out
fast.
on top.
I know. It's going to be an exciting election season. So
Their fan bases are gonna have to really support them, get those votes in, and all of that.
we'll see how the standings alter after this one, right?
Yeah, definitely. We'll see tomorrow morning what everyone comes out with. Basically, the new AP poll, more or less.
Oh, there you go. And called by yours truly, Jody and Kristen,
Yeah.
the presidential debate, or as we like to call the World Series.
Yeah, I think that's
two?
a pretty accurate World
Yeah.
Series Part 2.
Drama on both sides, equally dramatic.
Definitely. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our third episode, our debate night, late night special. You can
love
catch
it.
us here every Wednesday or even Thursday mornings if you want to listen to us on your way to work while you enjoy your breakfast, drink a nice cup of coffee. I know that's what I'll be doing tomorrow morning.
Diet Coke for me. I'm not a coffee girl. So at lunch, I'll listen again. Anyone who wants to stay in later, there you go.
All right, and said for the He Said, She Said podcast, I'm Jody Storm Sullivan.
And I'm Kristen Lago from USC Annenberg Media Center. This has been He Said, She Said, Late Night Debate Night Edition. Good night.